questions. So these are some of the expectations. Like, you know, I'm giving you some hints as well, right? These are some of your expectation that you will be able to learn. You want to learn rather at the completion of these 5-6 lectures. Let us start Unit 1, Research Fundamental. Again, like before I start this first unit, again I'm going to raise another question. That question is, most of the research scholars across the country, I'm not talking about this particular country, I'm not talking about this particular university. Most of the research scholars across the country, um, um, uh, they are not able to publish their data. Um, most of the research scholars are not able to publish their data in Journal of International Review. Do you agree with me? Like, this is what my I'll take a pause for a minute.
No, I know. I've been giving you most brilliant, right? I'm sorry. No, I agree.
I'm sorry. This is this is my perception rather. Most of the research scholars across the country, they are not able to publish their data in the Journal of International Review. I mean, I don't know whether you agree with me or not. Maybe like if you don't agree with me at the end of this session, you can tell me like your opinion as well. Now, if you agree with me, then what are the probable reasons? Because only accepting this fact is not going to solve the purpose. We need to understand like what are the issues. Now, why I'm raising this question, this is like during these last 32 years, this is what I have understood, that there are many, because many a times like I did survey on my own as well. Like if you, let us say like if you take a random 10 thesis, any random 10 thesis of any university, what you will find out of those 10 theses, 50% of people, almost 50% of people, or maybe like let me start other way around. Out of 10, like around 20 to 30% thesis, you will find that the research scholars are very genuine, they are very committed, and they are publishing the data in Journal of International Repute, right? And they are very, I mean, and the whatever research they are doing, it is having societal impact as well. Another 20 to 30% research scholars, you will find that they know like what they are doing, like they are not at all committed. They are publishing the data in very substandard journals, right? And they are least bothered about what the research outcome is going to be. They are least bothered about whether whatever research finding they are going to have, whether it has got some societal relevance or not. They are least bothered. Around 20 to 30% people, like they are least bothered. They are not committed. They are not able to publish their data in good journals. And another 20 to 30% people, they are really committed people, genuine research scholars, and they are publishing the data in good research journals as well. Remaining around 50 to 60%, around 50, I would say like 40 to 50% thesis or research scholar, you will find that although they are genuine, although they are committed, but somehow because of awareness, because of lack of awareness, they are not able to publish the data in journals of international repute. Now, question is, whenever we are talking about journals of international repute, we need to understand whether we are aware of what is the meaning of journal of international repute. Really, do we understand like what are those journals which can be referred as journal of international repute? What are the parameters, right? This is first question. Question number two would be like those who are not, like as I mentioned earlier, around 40 to 50% thesis or 40 to 50% research scholars, they are not at all, I mean, although they are genuine, although they are committed, but since they are not aware, since they are, I mean, due to lack of awareness, they are not able to publish their data in good journal. Now, whenever I'm talking about good journal, like why they are not able to publish their data in good journal, one of the reasons for that is, like, if you really want to publish your data in good journals, every journal is going to look into three important parameters. Like whenever you will be submitting your manuscript to any journal of international repute, the editor or reviewer of those journals, they are going to see three important features from your manuscript. Those three important features are whether you have got some novelty in your investigation. This is going to be one of the very important feature. Second is going to be whatever research findings you have, whatever research finding you got during your PhD, whether it has got some societal relevance. Whether whatever research finding you have, on the basis of those research finding, whether you will be able to address some issues, some societal issues. This is going to be second parameter. Third parameter that every editor or reviewer is going to look into, that what is your credibility, what is the credibility of that research scholar. So these three parameters are going to be taken care of, look into very seriously by editor or reviewer. And if you are able to address those three issues, I'm sure you will be able to publish your data in those journals. And why most of the research scholars, they are not able to publish their data? The reason is somehow their research manuscript is missing these three parameters. And therefore, if you agree with my perception, like most of the research scholars are not able to publish their data in the Journal of International Repute, if you agree, then simply having agreement is not going to serve the purpose. As I mentioned earlier, we need to understand like what are the probable reasons for that. And let me tell you, my friend, I have narrated down 9 probable reasons. There could be more than 9 probable reasons, but I have narrated down, 9 very, very important or prominent probable reasons. Number 1 could be issues in problem identification. Like whenever you are like in the beginning of your PhD process, like whenever you will be submitting your synopsis at the time of registration, the problem identification, you need to follow a very scientific method for method for identifying your problem. Somehow if you are missing that scientific method, I'm sure that you will be having one or other issues, and that will lead to substandard research during your entire research career. And therefore the one of the prominent reason could be issues in problem identification. Second is going to be inadequate literature review. Literature review, I know like everybody knows what the literature review is all about, but how to do literature review, what are the journals which need to be referred, what are the different aspects so that the novelty can be inculcated. Many research scholars, they are missing these particular points, and as a result of that, most of nowadays in case of most of the international journal of repute, most of the papers are being rejected just because of missing this novelty component, right? And therefore, in order to inculcate novelty, the literature review is going to be very, very important. And if you are having inadequate literature review, again you are going to have your paper, you will not be able to publish your data in good journal. Next one would be like, for example, you have identified your problem, but you have done the adequate literature review, but somehow you could not formulate your hypothesis properly. Improper formulation of hypothesis. This is also equally important, because as it is mentioned by in the inaugural session, Honorable Vice Chancellor has already mentioned that there are many research scholars, they don't know what the hypothesis is all about. And I do have similar kind of experiences during these last 32 years, because I still remember when I was still I'm RRC members, but even like I still remember those period when I was heading the Department of Physics, and when I used to sit the many pre-PhD PhD vivos, pre-PhD vivos, and the RRC presentation. Whenever we used to ask question like, what is hypothesis of your research, most of the students used to tell the objectives. There are many students, they don't understand the difference between objectives and hypothesis. If you don't understand difference between hypothesis and objectives, I'm sure you are going to have a very, very, very terrible time in due course of time. And therefore, if you are not able to formulate your hypothesis properly, I'm sure that will lead to substandard research outcome. Next issue would be no social relevance, as I mentioned earlier, because many journals nowadays, if you don't correlate, if somehow this particular component is missing in your investigation, And if your whatever research findings, if you are not able to correlate that with one of the societal issues, again your paper is not going to be accepted. The next problem is ambiguity in designing experiment. Like many students, like they do adequate literature review, formulation of hypothesis, they have social relevance as well, but somehow they will not be there will be a lot of ambiguity in designing of experiment. Because if you are designing experiment with lot of ambiguity, I'm sure that will lead to the substantial data, and obviously if you are not having impactful data, then it will be really difficult for you to show the impact. Next reason would be like inadequate interpretation of data. Although you have got adequate data, you have designed your experiment in like excellent way, but somehow whatever data you have got, if you are not well equipped to interpret the data. If you are not interpreting your data properly, then again you are going to have a horrible time. Next reason would be improper mapping of strength of research scholar with problem. This is also equally important. I'm going to emphasize, I'm going to speak more on this particular issue whenever we'll be speaking on drafting of scientific manuscript. Because let me tell you, my friend, whenever, like in the beginning of a research career, whenever you are submitting synopsis, what we need to do is how to, like, there are many students, like whenever I'm speaking to the research scholars or the teachers on this particular issue, most of the time the teachers or the participant ask me question like how to inculcate the societal relevance in our proposal, like pre-PhD proposal, right? Synopsis, how to inculcate that, how to incorporate that social relevance component. Now, if you really want to incorporate social relevance component in your proposal, what we need to do is, like, first of all, we need to be very sure about our stand, and that is why I ask you to do the beginning exercise, that you need to do a SOC analysis, like to begin with, right? We need to understand like what are my stand, like, and then you need to keep on identifying the research. I mean, keep on identifying issues related pertaining to your area of expertise. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, very first exercise that we need to do is keep on writing our strength, like what are my area of expertise. That need to be written down very systematically. What are my area of expertise, in which area I'm weak, right? That need to be written down very systematically right in the beginning. And then what I need to do is I should start writing down the issues around me. Like, let us say if I'm living in Aurangabad, I should write down what are the issues uh, pertaining to my area of expertise. Like, for example, in Aurangabad might be having n number of issues, but I may not be able to resolve all those issues. So what I need to do is I need to consider only those issues which will be relevant to my area of expertise. And therefore, first of all, you write down your area of expertise, strength number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth, and then keep on writing the issues pertaining to your area of expertise. If you are in Aurangabad, identify the issues in Aurangabad related to your area of expertise. Then you can increase your horizon. I mean, like, what you need to do is you can go beyond Aurangabad, right? Let us say, like, you are not able to identify the issues or the societal issues related to your area of expertise in Aurangabad. You need to go beyond that. Like, you can see, like, are there any serious issues which need to be taken care of with highest priority, which is related to my area of expertise in the region of Marathwada, like if I'm living in Aurangabad, right? If I'm not able to identify any issues in a region of Marathwada, I need to go beyond that. Let me see whether I can have some issues related to my area of expertise in the region of Maharashtra. If I'm not able to identify any issues, then we need to go beyond that, right? Then up aage jaiye, then you can see, like, whether you will be able to identify issues across the country. And if you are not able to identify issues across the country, you can go beyond the country as well. But if you are working in Aurangabad and you want to address issues which are there in New York, it doesn't make any sense. And therefore, you need to see, like, what are the issues related right from your local level to international level. And once you have the list of your expertise and list of issues, try to do the proper mapping. That is also very, very important. Like, let us say you are having 5 different issues and you are having 5 different, like expertise too. See which expertise should be mapped with which issues, right? If you do that proper mapping, I'm sure you will be able to have, in due course of time, you will be able to do a very quality research and you will be able to have quality data as well. Once you do the mapping, next would be the priorities, because you need to set the proper priorities as well. Let us say you identify 5 issues, you have got 5 expertise also, but what should be your first priority, right? So priority wise, you need to prioritize those, those issues with your mapping, and then the issues and area of expertise which has got highest priority should be you need to identify which issues should be given first priority, second priority, third priority. This could be, setting up a priority could be based on, depends on the available infrastructure, or it could be depending on the nature of the problem as well. If it is very burning problem which need to be addressed very immediately, that should be your highest priority. But even if you could identify that kind of burning problem, but if you don't have adequate infrastructure for that, that should not be your highest priority, and therefore the feasibility issue need to be taken care of as well. So seventh point could be although you have done all first 6 steps excellently, but somehow you are not able to map your strength with the problem. Again, you will be having substantial data. You will be having substantial data in your research investigation. And then let us say you have done very systematically all first 7 steps, but somehow you are not able to draft your manuscript properly, like poor presentation, drafting skill, right? If you are not earned those drafting skill, you are not able to present your data systematically, again, although you have got quality, but somehow you could not convince reviewer, and as a result of that, your paper is going to be rejected. And last very important point is going to be the credential of research scholar. That is also going to be very important, because nowadays whatever claim we will be making, because whenever we are drafting any manuscript, what happens, we always make some claims. And whenever we are making some claim, like for example, you will be making claim that this and this experiment have been carried out in this and this laboratory, you are having this and this infrastructure. So reviewer is going to check whether you have that kind of infrastructure in your laboratory or not. So what reviewer is going to do, reviewer is going to see your website, and he is going to cross verify whether you have got that infrastructure if you are claiming that. Number 1. Number 2, you may claim that you are having prior experience of working in that area, so prior publications. So reviewers are always going to do the prior publication search, and if you are having that kind of credibility, I'm sure you will be a better person. You will be having a better opportunity to publish your data. So these are some of the prominent reasons why most of the research scholars are not able to publish their data in good journal. Now, why I have included this as the first initial slide. The reason for that is whatever the questions I have raised here, whatever the issues I have identified, 9 probable issues, I am going to discuss all the issues during my entire deliberation. How I'm going to tell you how the problem should be identified, how literature reviews should be done, how the hypothesis should be formulated, how to incorporate social relevance in our research, how to design the experiment, what should be your mindset, what should be your strategies to design experiment. Similarly, what should be your strategy to interpret the data. And then I'm also going to tell you how to identify the issues, how to do the proper mapping, how to obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to tell you how to draft scientific manuscript as well at the end of my deliberation. So the one of the reason, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to discuss all those issues during this 5 days to come. Friend, whenever my master students, they are on the verge of graduation, whenever they are graduating, at the most of the time, last lecture, I will be asking question to my student, and one of those questions would be, are you going to join research? So whenever I'm asking this question, some of the students would be they always respond that no sir, I don't want to do PhD. Whenever we are asking research, everybody believes that research always lead to PhD degree. सभी को लगता है कि भाई मुझे अगर पीएचडी करना है तो ही मुझे रिसर्च करना है. Everybody believes that, right? But do you think that research always leads to the PhD degree? Does research always leads to PhD degree? Let me tell you, my friend. Now, let me tell you, my friend, here, like whenever we are living in the society, in our family also, you are going to play a different role. Let us say in my family, I'm going to play a role of parents, right? So like a role of father particularly, right? So like that, you might be playing role of father, mother, maybe daughter or son, husband or wife, right? So in the capacity of father, I'm like, like I need to ask question to myself. Am I making my, like, because my ultimate target would be to make my children happy, right? This is my ultimate target. As a parents, as a father, मेरी first priority क्या रहेंगी कि I should make my children happy. As far as if I'm son, my first priority would be I would like to make my parents happy. If I'm husband, my first priority would be like I would like to make my wife happy. And similarly, like if your wife, I'm sure like your first priority would be like you would like to make your husband happy. It means that we always try to make our near and dear very happy. But are we really making them happy 100%? Are we really successful in making them happy 100%? Truly speaking, if had it been a interactive session, I would love to have truly speaking your responses on these questions as well. And you will be responding. Like some of you may respond that yes, sir, yes, I'm making like I'm successful in making my dependent 100% happy. Like maybe fathers, maybe parents, or maybe our kids, right? But truly speaking, it is not at all possible. If you speak to the reality, if you want to speak truth, truly speaking, I will not, you will not find a single individual, who will be able to claim that he has got success in making that dependent 100% happy. Now, if you look into this particular problem very seriously, if you look into this problem, we need to understand, like, for example, like if I'm not able to make my son happy, 100% happy, it means that somewhere 10 to 15%, maybe around 10th degree, like it could be like 10, it could be 10%, 20%, 25%, whatever, right? So if my son is not happy by the degree of 10%, by the degree of 15%, what are the probable reason? What I need to do for that? Now, first of all, let me tell you what we are usually doing in research. Now, in research, what usually we do, we usually start with identification of problem. I'm going to discuss that in detail in due course of time, but let me tell you very quickly here. In research, what we usually do, we usually identify the problem. Once we identify the problem, we went ahead and have the literature survey. On the basis of literature survey, you will be formulating hypothesis. On the basis of hypothesis, you will be setting up objectives and methodology. Once you design the objectives and methodology, you will be conducting experiments, or you will be collecting data. Once you have the data with you, you will be doing the interpretation of data, and then at the end, you will be conclusion. Don't you think that this need to be done in our day-to-day basis also, in day-to-day life also? Like, for example, if I'm not able to make my son happy, I need to understand, like, what is his problem, why I'm not able to make him happy. So this is what related to, like, this is what the similar to identification of problem. Like in research, we always identify the problem. In our day-to-day life also, we need to identify the problem. If I want to initiate the process of making him happy, I need to identify what is his problem. And once I understand his problem, I need to see what is happening elsewhere. What are the other people who are facing this kind of problem? and what kind of strategies they are following, they are adopting to address this kind of problem. This is similar to literature review. In literature review also, once you identify the problem, we always see like what is happening elsewhere, what other researchers are doing. We will be going through their objectives, methodologies, interpretation, and everything. Similarly, if you want to handle the problem in our day-to-day life also, we need to see like what is happening elsewhere, how similar kind of problems are being resolved, that need to be done. This is similar to literature review. And once we know like this is the methodology others are following, then accordingly we are going to have the hypothesis. Like okay, like for example, if I do this, I will be able to make my son happy. If I'm doing this, I will be able to make my daughter happy. So this is a sort of hypothesis. We never know it is going to happen. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हम वो करते लेकिन होता ही नहीं. हम करने की कोशिश करते, but we are not going to get the same result. But still we have to do that. Like we have to formulate hypothesis there as well. And once you formulate hypothesis, हम क्या करेंगे उसके बाद? We are going to see like how that is like. ये करने के बाद ऐसा होगा. If I do this, I'm going to get this. So in order to reach that target, I'm going to set the objectives. Like I'm going to do this first, I'm going to do this second, third, fourth, like a kind of a chronology of action to be taken. It's kind of objectives in our research, right? Once you set the objectives, again वो कैसे करना है? मुझे, if I do this, I will be able to make my son happy. So how that is to be done? So that would be a methodology. That would be similar to a methodology. ये करने से मेरा बेटा खुश हो सकता है, तो वो मुझे कैसे करना पड़ेगा, right? So how can I do that? Once I do that, so I will be actually implementing. So conduction of experiment, collection of data, I will be actually implementing that. And once I implement, I will be having some data with me, right? And based on that data, I will be interpreting that data. कि मेरा बेटा इस reason से खुश नहीं था. I have seen like what others are doing. I have formulated hypotheses. I have set the objectives. I did that. I've implemented that. Today I got the data. And the end conclusion हम करते. You are going to have the conclusion that okay, after doing this, still I could not make him happy. Or after doing this, yes. So if you're not able to make them happy, still what you need to do? Again, you need to go back. This is how the hypothesis testing is going to be in our research. Like what we do in research, like we hypothesize, we do we formulate the hypothesis, set the objectives, methodologies, we do the experiment, we are going to collect the data, and at the end of collection, we are going to interpret the data, and then after interpretation, you are going to test your hypothesis. You are going to see like whether whatever hypothesis you have formulated, whether that was correct or not. अगर सही नहीं तो you need to go back and you need to do the fine tuning again. You need to go back and you need to do the fine tuning again. Same methodology we are adopting in day-to-day life as well. हम जो भी करते वो अगर उससे अगर हमारा जो पर्पस था वो अगर सर्व नहीं होता है तो अगेन हम क्या करते? पीछे जाकर उसको करेक्शन करते. Again we go back and make the corrections. This is what we are doing in day-to-day life. And therefore, my friend, what I believe is research never, every time is not going to, research will never, every time is not going to lead the PhD. In order to live a very happy life, we need to have a research, attitude, analytical mind. And therefore, my friend, what change I'm expecting here is like, this is like very conventional approach. Read, remember, write is a very conventional approach. So conventional approach, this is symbolical, presentation. Let me tell you, my friend, this is symbolical presentation. Like what is conventional approach? Conventional approach is like, padho, add karo, and then you adopt the conventional approach to resolve the problem. But let me tell you, my friend, this conventional approach is not going to serve the purpose nowadays. If you really want to have the impactful research, you need to forget about this conventional approach. You need to have a like alternative approach, and that approach is going to be read, remember, and apply. What I mean to say is, whatever you read, whatever you remember, you need to see whether that need to be applied as it is, or whether you need to make some significant changes in your approach every time. And that is why in research, let me tell you, my friend, as far as literature review is concerned, because many times हमें ऐसा लगता है कि once like in the beginning of our research, we need to do literature review, and once it is done, like once the literature review is done in the beginning, that is over. No. Truly speaking, after every 6 months, we need to keep on referring literature. We need to keep on doing that continuously, because whatever plan you have prepared 6 months back, we never know that is going to be useful today. We need to check again. We need to see like what others are doing, because we never know, because whatever novelty approach you must have considered 6 months back, today it may not have novelty. Other research group must have gone well ahead of you as well. And therefore, this conventional approach needs to be changed, completely changed. Read, remember, write. Read, remember, write means like once it is decided, once the conventional approach is decided, you throughout the following same approach throughout your PhD duration.